So if anyone has any questions, suggestions, any points to make, you can just raise your hand and we can discuss it. I know there was a lot of information there, but we have to start somewhere, and we might as well pick the city of Hamilton to start in. So, anything at all? Okay.
It's more of a comment than a question here, and I certainly don't want my comment to undermine anything that the two brothers, mashallah, have expounded on. And I really like the fact that you've come up with a complete high-level plan that can actually come down and really turn into complete and broad actions. And I completely agree that that is the way to go to bring a real change in society on a broad scale. However, I do disagree with one of your statements, Malik, and that is that voting is haram based on the fact that we're electing people that are going to pass laws, and only Allah can pass laws. And then I think there is some kind of confusion here, because it's true that as Muslims we have to seek to bring a society or bring about a society that will be based on the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are clear verses in the Quran, such as وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. However, to go and say that voting is haram because no one has the right to pass laws is really not supported by the Sharia. As we all know, a lot of people know, that the Sharia laws are not only exclusively based on the Quran and Sunnah. That the laws of the Quran and Sunnah are the foundations, but they're not the exhaustive set of laws. And even in Islam, there are 8 other sources of laws from which scholars have defined the sources of Sharia. So we have, in fact, 10 sources of laws, starting with the Quran, the Sunnah, then we have the Ijma', the Qiyas, the Maslaha al-Mursala, the Urf, the Istihsan, the Istishab, Madhab al-Sahabi, wa Shara' al-Muqaddam. So, for example, as examples of laws that are not mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, the institution of prisons, for example, the institutions of corporal punishments, the institutions of taxations, and all of those are laws that scholars during the Islamic rules have instituted and developed, but that were nowhere mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. And that is because the laws in the Quran and Sunnah are permanent in time and space. And that's what the scholars call al-maslaha al-mutlaqa. Those are laws that must be there and must be instituted and can never go wrong and can never be suspended in a permanent basis. But then all times and places might call, in addition to those, to additional laws, administrative or otherwise, that are needed by society. And that's the definition of maslaha mursala, which means that it's not mutlaqa, it's not absolute, but it's relative in space. And from that perspective, one can infer that in a society like Canada, where of course we are not able to bring about the full laws of Islam, that for the benefit of Muslims, because the Sharia after all has come, as the scholars of Usul Fiqh says, لِتُحَقِّقَ مَصَالِحَ النَّاسِ, that to fulfill the Sharia's purpose is to fulfill the welfare of Muslims, that from that perspective Muslims would seek to participate in the politics and the voting process to bring about leaders that could institute laws that are for the benefit of Muslims in addition for society as a whole. So I'm sorry for this long comment here, but I don't want this comment first of all to undermine or detract from the very positive message that you brought, inshallah, and from the fact that yes, it is a lot more important to have grassroots movement and have a clear plan to bring about change in society rather than just voting and relying on the elected officials. But nonetheless, I don't think one should go as far as saying voting is haram and you should avoid it completely. Allah.
Jazakallah Sheikh Lutfi for for coming today and for contributing. And inshallah, I look to you as one of the leaders who will help us implement this plan. So and as Brother Anas mentioned, is that we have differences of opinion, right? I've mentioned my opinion, and we have a booklet at the back that kind of goes through the full list of ayat and evidences in terms of why we believe voting is haram, and in the sense that you're voting for someone to make laws other than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. And just to, I guess, respond to your comment, is that what Islam really brings to humanity is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the arbiter between human beings, right? And that all these kind of concepts that like the different aspects of Sharia and the different aspects of Sharia, the sources of legislation. None of the scholars would say that the human mind can legislate, right? And it's that when Mu'adh bin Jabal, when he was asked by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as to how he would rule over the people of Yemen, like he went through the various lists of things, and I'm just going to mention the meaning, not the exact text. But it was that first I will go to the Book of Allah, then I will go to His the Sunnah, and then I will use ijtihad, right? And what I would put forth to you, Sheikh Lutfi, is that really that's what we're, in the sense though, human beings as a whole, that's what they're lacking today. Is that when I talk to people and I try to invite them to Islam, that's really what I focus on. Is that what I try to show them, especially through the economic system, how the Islamic system, because it's fixed, because it has controls over human desires, like in the sense that human logic and human whims can't enter it, is a source of salvation for human beings, right? It's like you can't make riba halal ever. Interest can never be okay. You can never change from a bimetallic standard. You can't just suddenly start printing money, like in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like he specified the nisab for cutting the hand of the thief, for example, in gold and silver, and so therefore the currency for human beings should be bimetallic, should be the gold and silver standard, unlike what they have now. There's just the paper money, and so when human beings when they can just randomly print money, which means the money in your bank is worth less. So and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put that control over human beings. And the example I like to use to show how Islam protected us and our human beings from its desire is the example of Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. And I mentioned this in the discussion, was that if you look at the incident that happened to him and Amr bin Luhay al-Majusi, the Persian that Abu Lu'lu'a al-Majusi, the one who assassinated him, may Allah curse him, that interaction that happened to them is that Abu Lu'lu'a threatened him, right? Like he said, I'll make you, like when Umar bin Khattab was walking around, and he said that I'll make you a windmill that both the Arabs and the non-Arabs will hear about. So in modern discussion, what's that? That's called actionable intelligence, right? That's called actionable intelligence, where if someone uttered that to Obama or Putin or whoever, or Harper, they'd be thrown in Guantanamo within a couple hours, right? Like they would be locked up and like spied on. At a minimum, someone would follow them around, and you'd have their phones bugged, and then RCMP would always be following them, right? But what did Umar bin Khattab do? He abided by the Sharia, which makes it haram to spy, right? Like as in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it haram to spy, right, on people, and nothing can change that, right? And so, what I would put forth is that the Quran is a salvation for human beings in the dunya, in the sense that it'll bring about laws and justice that is from Allah, right? There's a common phrase that people said, they say to people is, who died and made you God, right? Because the fitrah in the human being is you'll only accept legislation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Like you won't accept it from another human being. And this is one of the problems of democracy, is that these laws, whether it's insurance, like most people, like you talk to them about car insurance, they know it's a scam. How is it that you get imposed a contract where you have to pay money to TD or whatever company, right? This is a scam, right? That from the corporations who manipulate the process, so we are forced into these contracts, even if we don't want to get into them, right? So what I would put forth is that Islam and the pillar that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the hakim, is the legislator, is a source of salvation, and it's a way for us to actually do dawah with the non-Muslims. And it's one of the ways that at least you can have a conversation, especially when you talk about the economic system, in terms of putting forth and making the case for the shahada and showing them how Islam will bring salvation to human beings. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullah khair. It's good that we're getting conversation going, because we have to have some level of communication on these kind of things, because if we don't, then we don't progress. Any other comments, questions? I know we've hit 6:30, but I just want to make sure that if there's any ideas that we've presented that you guys you think that won't work. If you have suggestions, or again, this is not an effort. If the result of this is just the four of us up here and a couple other people are going forward, trying to do something for the community in this way, then it's not really going to pan out. It has to really be a solid outreach. We have to, all of us sitting here, have to really think that this is serious, because if we don't take steps now, things will just escalate in their current stance, and they will simply get worse. There's a famous, I always remember, there's a famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he talked about the people who are in the top of the boat and in the bottom of the boat. Where if the people in the bottom of the boat, where they they go to the top to get water, they decide, that's too much work. Let's just drill a hole in the bottom of the boat and extract water from there. And if the people at the top let them do that, then all drown together, right? But if they prevent them from that, and they just they prevent them, then they'll all be saved. So we can't wait. We can't sit here and wait until we're affected personally, our own family is affected personally, because by then it'll be too late, right? Right now we're seeing the beginnings of that mindset, so we have to challenge it now, all of us here. As Anas mentioned, if there are no more comments, no questions, no points raised. Oh, okay, great. Good. There it is.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa jazakallah. My brothers for the enlightening talk, and also you Imam for the engaging in dialogue. I saw something beautiful just occur, that we can have a civil conversation, respect differing opinions. My question to you is, do you have any advice for someone like myself who has gone into the fold, gone to other Muslims, have tried to present ideas, and you get bullied, you get ganged up against, you get jaded almost, and it's very hard to persist when you try to present an idea like this. Hey guys, why don't we write letters? Or hey friends, would you join me in this rally? You're the only one coming to an event or something like that, and they're all busy talking about Batman or something. Do you have any advice for someone who's been in that situation? As I said, being bullied. You try to say to someone, in opposition. Let's say someone comes to your friends and says, voting is shirk, and they heard this 5-minute spiel and now they all believe it's shirk, and like you try to talk about it and you get bullied out of the dialogue almost. So that's my experience. I've experienced this with Muslims, and I've been disheartened and jaded from it. So do you have any advice how to get that himma or that energy back?
Jazakallah khair, Yasser, again, Jazakallah khair for coming. I know it's a far drive for you, so may Allah reward you immensely for sharing again your Saturday with us. And as someone who does this for a living, if you will, as in my terms of my hobbies, it's that it's difficult work, right? Like that enjoining the right and forbidding the evil is this concept, and the Islamic concept of calling to Islam is the activism in Islam. It's all there in the Quran. Like when you look at it, like this is what we should, when we go into these situations, we should take heart that this is what all the people who enjoin the right, forbid the evil, this is what they faced, right? Is that that's why it's important to have a relationship with the Quran, like in terms of what I do personally in terms of maintaining that relationship is I listen to it's a recitation in Arabic and in English. Like I listen to it constantly in that kind of sense, because it gives you it gives you it shows you like how people in the past, how when they like struggled against the batil ideas and the falsehood and things like that, you're not alone, and this is just a sunnah of things. This is sunnatullah. This is how it always is. It's a mistake to take Hollywood's presentation of the truth. The truth will set you free and all these kind of things. Sometimes being the truth is like our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the noble companion Abu Bakr, may Allah please him, hiding in a cave. Right, like that's the best of all creations, right? That Rasulullah is the best of all creation. He had to hide in a cave, even though he is the best of all creations, right? And the other thing is that if you notice that even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he worked in a group. He wasn't alone, and that's what, like, as we presented in our plan, what we're trying to do is build a group. Right, is that we want a group of us to get together and work on this as brothers, because this is not something, as I mentioned and repeated in our discussion, is that this is not something that Sheikh Lutfi is going to do himself, Sheikh Hossam's going to do himself. These are imams in the Hamilton area. It's not me or this. It's not going to be one person or one masajid who's going to take this on, or a group that's going to take this on. It has to be a community as a whole, because we can trade. Because what happens if you're just doing it by yourself, they just see it, it's Yasser's idea, it's Malik's ideas, Malik, he always goes on and on about the capitalist system. But what happens is that once you gather strength, once Sheikh Hossam's with this idea, Sheikh Lutfi's with this idea, he's part of this group, why don't you join us? So we're having a campaign to do this. ISNA High School's got involved with this. We've got 50 bloggers who are going to blog, and we're going to answer comments online, right? So once you have gained strength as a group, that helps you to do that. And of course, so I use the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He worked with his Sahabas as a cohesive group to carry the da'wah to Makkah. But one of the stories that happened that really sort of should give us a source to understand how it kind of works is actually how the boycott at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The mushrikeen of Quraysh put Banu Hashim and the Muslims all in a concentration camp. Right, like the 3 years they were starved out. They used to eat leaves till the corners of their mouth would crack. May Allah be pleased with all the Sahaba and reward them immensely for their sacrifices. The way the boycott broke down was that because you see, and this is again very illustrative of what we're trying to do, is that the non-Muslims, a lot of them were against it. Yes, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought a new deen that was threatening their way of life. That was, he was asking for authority. He was asking for rulership, right? But that's the thing, is the consensus and the public opinion is you don't go against your tribe, right? You don't go against that. So some of the non-Muslims, they were like, how can we do this? How do you, I think one of them asked, how do you sleep while your cousin's starving like that? And he was really bothered by it. So when he went to one guy said that, if you get someone else, then I'll join you. And so he had to go to another guy, and so on until he got a handful of people where they were doing tawaf around the Kaaba, and then he said that I won't rest till this document of the boycott is shredded. And then people from the crowd jumped out and says, I agree. And then Abu Jahl realized that this was something that was orchestrated. But that's how public opinion works, right? So there's two things from this. One is that it emphasizes kind of the message that I kind of gave. But the other thing is that if you're going to do this alone, it's a very difficult task, and you'll get washed out, right? You have to have a group. You have to work as a group, as a cohesive whole, to get. It's not just about just sharing tasks. It's also about sharing brotherhood and sharing love, in the sense that we're in this together and we work together, and you kind of share your pain, right? So that's what I have to say, inshallah.
Can I actually? If I have to.
I don't think this is going to travel.
All right, Assalamualaikum. Brother, I'm not in the position to advise you, but just a suggestion. Something that I've seen, and I think we really need to do a lot of. And this is what I was kind of getting at with the storytelling point. When we're trying to even get Muslims to understand some of the concepts and trying to bring them out of, you use Batman as an example or whatever it is that they're into, the infusion of something that's more creative, that's more interesting to them, that allows them to think about the same thing in a different way. That's really important, I find. And I find that a lot of the people that, the MSA, for example, gets in, young people who didn't really identify with Islam, for example, is because they tell them that they're going to do like a cool video, or they're going to do like a website, or they're going to do this social event where you can play basketball with friends or whatever. And through that, they're able to experience Islam in a way they haven't experienced it before. And it allows them to build relationships, to convey ideas. And so using storytelling, using creativity, using things like that, I've seen it work in an MSA context. I think it can work in a lot of contexts, actually. So just a suggestion out there.
Okay, so it's gotten quite late and it's time for Maghrib, and I don't want to delay the prayer anymore. So I just want to say we want to do this in an organized way, and it can't be just a one-time thing, right? So we are going to be doing this regularly, likely monthly, and then we'll actually, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be able to gather some momentum behind this, like Brother Malik here mentioned. So we want success in this. So if you get a chance, if you could leave your email, your name, email, and number, so that we're building a website for this. We're building a social media presence. We have a YouTube channel. We're working we want to do this properly. But again, we need help. We'll need support from everyone here, specifically every single person here. So if you could leave that with us, that would be great, inshallah. And jazakumullah khair for everyone taking your time out. Inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pay you greatly on the Day of Judgment for this, and inshallah it will further our effort for us and the greater Canadian community. So again, jazakumullah khair, and bismillahir rahmanir rahim, wal 'asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilu s-salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Do we have time to